Hey everybody, if you've been wondering where are we at with humanoid robots, you might have seen some of these things kind of pulling levers or opening doors or even doing more advanced things and thinking, should I be like thinking about buying one? Can this actually do my dishes? Should I hire one of these to come into my factories? Um, like this video is designed to help you answer those types of questions. And by the end, I hope that you'll have a really good understanding of what humanoid robots can do today and where we're headed in the next few years. So, I want to start with right off the bat with Tesla because about a year ago they had this demo and I think they confused a lot of people. It could have been a social experiment to see like could they get away with it or not, but they had humanoid robots running in their demo. It's basically a three, it was an experience where people came in, they filmed with their phones, with their cameras, and they came in. They had their Optimus there, their humanoid robots, and serving beer, and which appeared to be like pretty cool. And then afterwards, people realized they kind of watch each other's videos and they were trying to figure it out there. And I think maybe some of the people there kind of figured it out. But after the fact, people who are following this realized they were being controlled with remote controls, basically like either people wearing the gloves, in the VR goggles, or the little remote controls and things. So this was not AGI. Like the big goal of all the major AI companies is AGI, artificial general intelligence, where it can basically like handle new tasks, it can learn new tasks, it can do a very wide range of things, basically all the things that humans can do. And this was not that. Some people kind of thought that. I think a lot of us thought that when we first saw it, but then it was like, wait a second. And some of the videos include talking to it and said, "Hey, are you a robot?" And you can hear this voice like, "Yes, I'm a robot." And it's like, "No, but like is there a human controlling this?" And they're like, just for tonight." Yes. And so it's kind of it was really tricky of Tesla. I think they lost some trust there. Um, Interesting experiment, but yeah, a lot of people were like, that doesn't feel good for us, trying to fake us into thinking that it was fully run by humans. Still impressive nonetheless. I mean, because these robots, they're dancing, they're maintaining balance, and which I think is the second hardest thing for a robot to do. Like walking and maintaining balance is enormously difficult. And there are many robot companies that have accomplished this feat, but let's move on. So, um, this is a video about Amazon accomplishing. They just placed their millionth robot. So here's a human moving totes, right? And we see that they're moving totes. They're pulling things out, putting things in other totes, and then here's Digit, okay. And Digit is a robot that's specifically designed to do one thing and one thing only: move totes. And you can see it walks. It does a great job at walking. It has its little things there. And in a lot of them, I've seen it, the Digits using little claspers, little clamps to clamp onto the top of the tote. And they just keep in mind, like it says down here, that they're doing their millionth. Sorry for the ad. They're doing their millionth robot placed, and they are. Sorry, I'll find the right clip here. Anyway, um, sorry, this is annoying me because it's playing there. Okay, sorry. So in this, they're talking about like they place their millionth robot. They're getting close to the point where there's as many robots working in the factories as there are humans, and you just need to keep in mind that a lot of those that they're talking about, probably hundreds of thousands, like maybe most of them, are these things that move stacks of like totes around. So they are autonomous and they are controlled by like massive computers, and they have like thousands of these in their factories. So very cool, but don't think like when they say, "Oh, we just placed our millionth robot in a warehouse and we almost have as many um robots as humans." Like don't think that they have a million humanoid robots. Most of those are those little roly things. Um But one thing that's cool about Amazon is that they've been using these for years. And about a year ago, I heard a statistic. They said we have 1 million open positions for people to move totes. People don't like this job. It's backbreaking. It's extremely boring, and it's so monotonous. And so it's hard to even find humans to do that job. And they had like 1 million open positions. And so bringing humanoid robots like Digit to do that very specific task is just a great thing for I think most of us. Um, so here's a very interesting article by Rodney Brooks from MIT, and he wrote this article. I thought it was very interesting. The timing of it. He basically says, today's humanoid robots won't learn dexterity, and he kind of hedges his bets, I think, by saying today's, because it's like, well, what about tomorrow's? What about the robot that's released in 2 or 3 months, in which we'll talk about in a second? But yeah, so it's like, okay, well, obviously today's humanoid robots like don't do, all the things that they'll ever do. But he actually is like a real downer about it. He's been in the industry for a long time, amazingly informational. I hear my kids screaming out there. But he gives this graph, which is a year old by the time he publishes the article, which is very interesting. Here's Gartner. And then he talks about Tesla's robot a lot, and he talks about Figure 2 a lot. Um, but what's really interesting is that a couple months after he wrote this article, and he said it will be multiple decades before we have a humanoid robot that has dexterity, that can really do a lot of the things that we want. And so then came uh, Figure 3. Okay, so uh, Figure 3 was this huge, and I'll speed this up, um, huge advancement in the field. Okay. It charges itself, it walks around. You might say, well, it's walking pretty slow. And indeed, it's walking slow, but, and it can be a little bit clumsy still. And it's like, well, it's doing these things. And I think it's very impressive. I think it's very, very impressive. It's like, well, it's a little bit slow. It's like perfectly flat. Like, I have seen some robots, by the way, that walk over very uneven ground and like garbage and piles of crap. Like, it's very impressive. Um, but yeah, it's doing a pretty good job here. Now, like, are the dishes that clean at my house? Like, no, there's a lot more like crusty goo on the dishes. Like, is there, is the messes a little bit more complex? Yes, the messes are more complex at my house. But this is today. This is the today that the author of the article is talking about. And in the next iteration, because of the pace that I'm seeing these humanoid robots just, people might be saying, well, they can't do this, well, they can't do that. Like, they're just leaping over these obstacles, like literally just crushing them. And so, and I've seen Figure doing a lot of impressive things. You might say, oh, this is pretty simple, and it is, but it is doing things that were not conceivable like 3 years ago. And Figure, by the way, has only existed for like 2 years. And so a company has come basically from zero to this in roughly 2 years. And like, they're on their third version. Like, this is incredible. Now, again, it's like, okay, disclaimer, like, my house is a little more messy than that. These messes, these are pretty simplistic tasks, yes, but this demo is believed to be completely autonomous. So it's like, hey, go clean up the living room or whatever, and then it goes and it does the thing. It is not someone behind the scenes with the gloves and the VR or the remote control. Like, it is doing the things all by itself. Very cool. So in this demo, they run through, and you've seen some of it now, but they run through, and it's like, oh, like, it can get wet apparently. Oh, it can go outside. Oh, it can do this. Like, oh, it can do all these things. And it just keeps on doing things. Like, it's very, very impressive. And so I was really impressed by that Figure 3. Now, can it do all the things? No. Can it, like, would I buy one at this point? No. But the progress is what is impressive to me. Now let's go back in time just for a second, because the Figure 2, this is the previous generation. Here it is in the BMW factory working. So you can see it, it's moving parts around. it's walking around, it picks them up, it puts them down in the right spot, it has to kind of line things up, it's using its camera systems, its computer vision there, and different parts, it's picking them up. You can see on the right, here's one charging when it needs to, it just goes over here and hops on the charger. I also imagine that if you wanted to, you could just change out the battery and then you don't need to buy so many. You just, but I guess BMW can afford to have one, just a whole robot just sitting there charging. So is it welding yet? No, it's not. It's not welding yet. That's why this, it holds it down and then the welding robot comes over and does the spot weld. I imagine that at some point, like it might have a little welder, out on the bottom of its wrist, and it's like it puts it down, and then the welder thing is like doot doot, and then it goes and grabs the next one. Like that'd be pretty cool, and little Inspector Gadget action there. But yeah, like it's been working in a factory, and in fact, you can see from this they just finished this really big landmark where Figure Two has contributed to building 30,000 cars at BMW. So if you just bought a new BMW, there's a chance that Figure Three has put some of those helped assemble some of those cars or some of the parts in your car. I love that it shows like the scuffs on its hands. It's like I have scars, like I'm a real working thing. And these are really like right now, this is extremely boring work. So they're not taking like a massive number of human jobs right now. Like these are really hard to hire positions again. But you can see, I mean, it's not, this is not like a distressed furniture thing. Like this is from doing actual real work. And this is the previous version of the robot. So the new release is will probably be much more capable. So let's talk about robots you can buy today. Because if you're not BMW, you're not going to be buying a fleet of Figure Three robots. You can't get that deal yet. But this is Unitree. I've been following Unitree. RoboStore is one of the distributors in the U.S. I think there's maybe there's 2 or 4 in the U.S. The minimum price for one of these robots has come down by, I believe, more than half in the last year or so. So this is very encouraging. This I don't believe this number will get you the robot with the 5-fingered hands. That might be with like the clampy hands, the 2 fingers, which are remarkably easy to program, I'm told. Something to note here: this robot is also much smaller. It's like 4.5 feet tall, and just think about that for a minute, because if you're thinking about what kind of fleet that you might want to get, and you're thinking, okay, what are the sorts of criteria that I should be thinking through when I get a fleet of humanoid robots? Well, height is something to consider. You may not want the biggest, most powerful robot, depending on where it's going to be. If it's going to be around people, I mean, this comes from Unitree is a Chinese company. People are a lot shorter in China. Women are statistically shorter than men. And if your robot's going to be around humans, around like normal people working in an office, in a home, whatever, then it can be scary to have a big, tall robot working around you. If there is a catastrophic power failure, then it may fall over. It could fall over on you or your foot or your favorite vase. Who knows? So having them be shorter, at least for now, seems to be a really important comfort factor. Here's another one, Neo. There was a oh, by the way, Unitree. These were, I believe, the first robots to come out and be available to the public. You can buy one of these. Keep in mind there are shipping costs and tariffs. It's coming from China, so those are a little bit higher. And replacement parts, I'm told, is 50 to 80% of the cost. You might have seen these doing backflips. And about a year ago, when I was talking to them, they said, yeah, it can do backflips about 5, and then you have to replace the hip joints. So, keep in mind if you're like, oh, we're going to have this thing like come to our trade shows and do backflips for us, like wearing our special spandex that we sell. Like, just keep in mind, like replacement parts is a definite cost. And that, but you can get it for about $2,000 a month for this base model, which is kind of cool. So Neo, sorry, one more thing about Unitree. when I talked to them, I was asking them a lot of questions like, hey, what can it do out of the box? That is the question. What can it do out of the box? And they said, you know what? It's a 2 year, 2 to 3 year project to develop the software programs to make it do the specific things that you want to do. So this is not currently a general robot. All the big software companies, all the big AI companies are going for artificial general intelligence. That is the goal. Artificial general intelligence does basically all the things that a human can do, right? And so this is not that. Um, Neo, that is their goal as well. Like everybody wants to do this. But Neo's kind of interesting. It's built specifically for the home, and I've heard a number of manufacturers. I think Figure, like at first they were like, "Oh, we're going to build it, for all these things," and then they were like, "We want it in the home." And Neo though from the very beginning has said we want to build this robot for the home, and so you can see it looks like this soft, cuddly guy, and they come in multiple colors, and it's very like unassuming. I think Neo's I can't remember how tall. It's like around 5 feet or something. Like, so a little bit on the short side and very quiet. The motors are very quiet, and you can buy Neo for $20,000 or $500 a month. It's a $200 deposit today, and what you don't see here is that of when it's actually going to come, and I don't know if they have exactly promised when it's going to come, but if you do pay the 20,000, I think you're at like the top of the list, and so you can kind of get in line to own your own humanoid robot. And this is legit. This is for real. Um, there's a lot of fake robot videos out there being generated, but these ones I'm showing you are all real. The caveat is that just as we saw in the beginning with where was it with Tesla? Um, this is not the Tesla video. I apologize. Just as we saw in the beginning with Tesla, then we where was it? Yeah, it was right here. Just as we saw in the beginning with Tesla. Oh, this is a different one, but it's being controlled here by a human by remote control. Okay, so now if we jump over to Neo, same thing with Neo. Current like there is a really nice demo, and they're very transparent. They're like everything in this demo was remote controlled except for one thing, and that's Neo opening the door for somebody. It's like, oh, good, it can open the door. So if you need a humanoid robot to open the door for people and be super nice and like talk with them, then maybe shake hands. Like that's what Neo can do right now, and that's similar to what the Unitree robot can do as well. Um, but Neo just looks a lot more comfortable and cozy. So if you want to watch a movie with Neo, it might be a slightly more comfortable than with cold Unitree. And as I said, they from the very beginning have been building for in the house. So you can buy it today, and you have to pay extra for every minute that you're having a driver control it. And on their careers page, you can see if it's still there, in an ad for a job for a robot driver who can drive Neo around the home. And they geo fence the area, so if you don't want it in your kids' room, in your bathroom, or in your bedroom, for example, you can kind of fence off those areas so that Neo will never go there, and also it kind of blurs out like human faces and things like that. So they're totally designing it for the home. Um, there are still roadblocks. There's still roadblocks that exist. They haven't figured everything out. There's huge bugs. Like I say, bugs like there's problems of real life. If you want to put this thing to work, and there's issues, right? I'm not going to say they're not, but the pace at which they are solving the issues is very impressive. This last one is kind of crazy, and I'm going to make this full size because this robot protoclone just looks crazy. So this part's the card that's really crazy. So, and it looks like it's being hung or something, which is a little bit disgusting, but it's just the way that it's attached to its sternum there, if you can call it a sternum. Um, and it prints out the bones. It has a pump in the torso that pumps water through these like tubes, And this is in Poland, and they're building this thing um, as to be like sort of like how our muscles work. So Protoclone is one of the weirdest looking humanoid robots. It doesn't walk very well right now. They started with hand dexterity, which is probably the most difficult thing to do, as the MIT professor told us in the article. Um, but the this kind of disproves some of the things I think that he wrote about in the article as well. So we saw a figure doing a bunch of the things that he said robots wouldn't be able to do for like 20 years plus, and Protoclone does as well. All right. So thanks for watching this video. I hope this helps you see, like, if you're running a factory today and you're like, oh, like, could I have these robots like open giant bags of food and like pour it in the hopper? Like, I knew a guy that did that, and I've known some engineers that kind of designed these tasks for like packaging plants. Today the answer is no. Like, it can't open a giant bag of beans or rice or whatever and lift it up and dump it into the hopper. Like, that's not going to happen today. But we're getting close. We're getting amazingly close. Could two small humanoid robots be trained to do that kind of task over and over again? Yeah, they probably could. If you started today, then in a year or two, you could probably have them trained to do that kind of highly repetitive, very specific task. If you want to talk more about humanoid robots and what they can do and what they can't do, if you have a use case, I would love to chat about it with you. I love talking about this. It's one of my favorite topics right now. I've been following them, like I said, for a couple of years, and in this is something that we're really on the edge of being able to utilize these for a lot of really functional purposes. In the videos that you saw, like, you can see it doing a lot of light jobs, a lot of very simple, very lightweight, very straightforward tasks. And in the future, what we're going to see is a continued pace of development. So what I'm looking at today is not like, oh, this is the finished product. Yes, I want to buy one of these for my factory or for my home. No, what I'm looking at is a massive, impressive rate of progress. So, like, figure again, it's been around for a couple years, and they've gone from zero to functional robot, able to clean up simple messes. Like, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Yes, it is true. We've been working on humanoid robots for many decades. In the 60s, they developed like the first really good, like, two finger clasp type of grabbers. Um, but recently, we've been able to do a lot of things with machine learning that helps to run simulations and helps to take advantage of the computer vision based on the 2017 transformer invention by Google. And so now we have all of these really advanced methods of simulation where we can run millions of simulations based on a small amount of data that they have from the real world, or using the visual information in the videos that exist of people using their hands. So that's doesn't get us all the way there. Like, we still need to have better sensors. We still need to have stronger, more precise movements. We still need to have better automation for long-term tasks and memory. But again, the progress is there, and I think you'll find that as you start following this and you look at how long we've been using humanoid robots that can basically walk, talk, and pick things up on their own, that this progress is really very impressive. And I'm guessing that within 5 years to 10 years at the most, that we'll have robots that they can't, not just doing the very simple laundry, but then it's like, oh, well, this needs to be stain scrubbed first. I need to do that, and they'll be able to stain scrub it. Or they'll be able to look at it and say, oh, this is wool. Like this should not go in the dryer, that kind of thing. So, somebody was in the article that I mentioned, he said, well, there's like a list of things like, let's have it, let's see if it can start with a shirt where one of the sleeves is completely out and two of the buttons are done, and then hang that up on a hanger. And that sort of thing, like they can't do that today. But based on what we're seeing here, it'll probably get there soon. We're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We're in the zone of very rapid progress. So I'm excited for this. Yes, there's a lot of barriers, but we're knocking those barriers down. So let's talk AI robots. Let's keep an eye on this. Let's see what kind of additional barriers that there are, and how these companies with this voracious speed are hopping over the barriers. Thanks.